Still a lot of things we haven't uncovered in this world. There are a lot of questions about the past and the future that are still unanswered even today. There are certainly things that we aren't meant to see in this world, but man's curiosity is unquenchable. And so, let's dive into things that should have remained in the dark. From tree pollen to the breathing forest, here are 15 things humans were never meant to see. 15. Tree pollen. If you have allergies, then you might want to get your medicine ready. At first, there's really nothing wrong with this photo. That is, until the tree starts to fall down and it leaves a cloud of pollen in the shape of the original tree in its wake. A few seconds later, the cloud of pollen begins to fall down, and it's all an allergy nightmare from there. It's quite surprising to see a pine tree release a huge puff of pollen forming an ominous yellow cloud. Number 14. Waters meeting. If you haven't seen this yet, you might think that this is an edited photo of a body of water. This is actually the Fraser River Delta just in front of Vancouver, BC in Canada. These two bodies of water meet, but they never actually mix. There is really a noticeable line where each body of water meets. Now, the reason behind this can easily be explained by science. Basically, this invisible water barrier exists because of the difference in temperature, salinity, and density between the fresh and salt water. The river water from the Fraser River basically flows into the ocean water of the Strait of Georgia. It's really amazing to see the partition between these two bodies of water. One part of the water is greenish and murky, while the other is dark and blue. Number 13. Whales sleeping. One of the most majestic creatures to exist in this world are the giant sperm whales. We know a lot of things about them through research. However, their sleeping habit is one of the most curious things about these creatures. It's definitely a surreal sight to see them napping. Seeing a pod of sperm whales is also incredibly rare. Whales only spend about 7% of their day napping, which is around 10 to 15 minutes each time. These divers just so happen to chance upon a pod of whales napping together peacefully. Whales actually sleep vertically. It's quite bizarre to see them floating upright motionless in the ocean. This state of whales is actually called drift diving. Whales are actually never really fully asleep. They usually sleep with half of their brain still active to prevent themselves from drowning and to help them easily soar upwards to breathe. Remember, whales are still mammals. Number 12. Moose walking on water. In this next video, you'll see something that's quite magical. Just take a look at how this moose is effortlessly running across open water. It seems like this creature really defied the laws of gravity. It's really not every day that you get to witness a sight this bizarre. If a video wasn't taken when this happened, no one will probably believe it. However, it seems that what's happening in this video isn't really what it is. The moose isn't actually running on the surface of the water. After all, it's quite hard for a large and heavy animal like the moose to easily float on top of water. This video is more of an optical illusion. Some boats can easily traverse on shallow water, and so this huge moose is probably doing the exact same. It seems like because of the moose's height, he appears to be running on the surface of the water, when in reality he's just stepping on the riverbed underneath. I guess we're going to have to wait for another walking on water miracle to show up. Number 11. Lighthouse. Did you know that way back when, there were people that risked their lives just to guide ships and boats in the middle of the ocean? A lighthouse keeping job isn't really something for the weak-hearted. Sure, we have seen lighthouses before, but do you really know just what unfolds in the middle of the ocean? Waves more than 15 feet relentlessly slam on the lighthouse. As a lighthouse keeper, you need to maintain everything inside the structure and make sure that the lens and light are perfectly functional. Of course, you don't need to worry while you're inside the structure, but seeing as some lighthouses are located in the middle of rough waters, it's very bad news if you ever encounter a fatal error while you're out in the ocean. Historically, lighthouse keepers used to have been a business and a duty passed down from generation to generation within families. Imagine waking up and opening your door and you immediately see a huge wave threatening to wash you away. Of course, that's way back when our technology was still lacking. Now there are automated lighthouses, and so there are fewer lighthouse keepers in the industry. The profession may have declined, but this also means that less people need to sacrifice themselves for this treacherous job. Number 10. Aokigahara. The forest of Aokigahara is one of the most well-known locations in Japan. However, the reason it's so well known isn't good. This forbidden forest with lush, beautiful trees may look amazing at first glance. But this forest holds many tragic and lamentable stories. The forest of Aokigahara has become a famous spot for people that want to take their own lives. Since the 1950s, the amount of deaths in the forest have been rising at an increasing rate. In 2010, the local police recorded more than 200 people attempting to take their own lives in the forest. Because of that, there are many remnants littered across the forest belonging to the people who attempted to claim their very own lives. It's not forbidden to go to Aokigahara. However, there are some portions where visitors aren't allowed to enter because it's easy to get lost in the maze of trees. In the forest, it's dubbed as the Sea of Trees. There are some signs encouraging people to live, such as signs reading, "Your life is a precious gift from your parents," or "Please consult someone," to stop people from claiming their own lives. However, these efforts still fail to prevent some deaths in the area. Number 9. Door to Hell. Did you know that you can visit the doors of hell? This, right here, is a giant crater nicknamed the Gates of Hell. This 230-foot crater has been on fire for more than 50 years now. This location is called the Darvaza gas crater, but locals prefer to call the crater as the Gates of Hell. The burning fire inside the crater can be seen from miles away. The formation of this hole isn't natural at all, however. It was actually man-made and created when a Soviet drilling rig accidentally punctured a giant natural gas cavern underground. This caused the ground to collapse and the entire drilling rig fell into the hole. This caused toxic fumes leaking at a rapid rate, and this ignited a fire. At first, the people thought that the fire would cease to exist within a few weeks, but a few months have passed, then months turned into years, and even today, the fire in the village of Darvaza still rages on. However, as of January 2022, the president of Turkmenistan has ordered the government to begin researching how to put the fire of the Gates of Hell to an end. Even so, people still trek up the village to witness the fire. Number 8. Danakil Depression. There are really some places here on Earth where nature seems to work differently. This right here is the Danakil Depression found in the northern part of the Afar Triangle in Ethiopia. This is a geological depression caused by the divergence of the 3 tectonic plates in the Horn of Africa. A depression is basically a drainage basin that normally retains water. Think of it like a river or an ocean, but there's no drainage for the water to escape. The Danakil Depression is renowned as the hottest place on the planet, and its environment has the weirdest and most wonderful habitats. It has salt lakes, lava lakes, volcanoes, and acidic springs. You would really think that the Danakil Depression is an environment that's out of this world. One of the most notable things in the Danakil Depression are the remains of Lucy, way back in 1974. Lucy is an early ancestor of modern humans, and the remains date from way back to 3.2 million years. The extreme environment in the depression is a paradise for researchers trying to study extremophiles, which are microorganisms that can survive in almost any temperature, pH, or any environment in general. What's more is that this depression right here gives important details about the possibilities of early life on Mars. Number 7. Tank Decoys. World War I and World War II marks the darkest and most tragic years in the history of mankind. Many secrets have been buried as the war passed on. During D-Day, there was a deception which was codenamed Operation Fortitude, and it was also part of a bigger deception strategy called Operation Bodyguard. Fortitude had 2 parts. The first is the Fortitude North, which was meant to deceive the Germans into thinking that the Allies will attack on Norway. Meanwhile, Fortitude South was to convince the Germans that the Allies would attack the northeast of Normandy. To accomplish this operation, they had to employ inflatable dummy tanks. Yes, you heard that right. Among the powerful tanks in the World War are inflatable dummies. These decoys made the Germans think that the Allies had more tanks than them. Prior to D-Day, this technique had also been previously employed in North Africa in the years 1941 to 1942. In the beginning, these decoys were only made of wooden shells and inflatable props. But soon after, these decoys were developed to be able to imitate heat signatures, making them more effective on fooling the enemies. Number 6. Blood Falls. In the frigid white paradise of Antarctica is a curious geologic oddity hidden in the snow. This is the Blood Falls, which is considered to be one of the world's strangest phenomena. It's quite ironic that the Blood Falls exist in a large glacier, known as the Taylor Glacier. It produces a blood-red river of water that makes the ground look like it's actually bleeding. For the longest time, researchers are baffled as to why the bloodfalls exist, and many believe that red algae caused the discoloration in the water. However, as time passed by and more research was done, this doesn't seem to be the case. After thorough research, and with the help of advanced imaging, scientists were able to reveal a complex network of subglacial rivers and a subglacial lake which is filled with brine high in iron that causes the water to have a blood-red discoloration. Number 5. Ocean on fire. Did you ever imagine that the ocean can be set on fire? Well, just last year, a fire was set ablaze in the Gulf of Mexico. A huge eye of fire was seen from miles away in the ocean of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The bright orange flames raged on for hours before it was fully extinguished. Now you might be thinking, just how did the fire start? The fire erupted because of the failure of an underwater pipeline in the offshore oil and gas rig located near the area. The pipe was apparently corroded, which caused gas to bubble up to the surface and ignite. Man may have advanced in many ways, but even today we're still looking for ways to make everything safer. However, we can't deny that sometimes man-made structures and technology are harming our very own biodiversity. And now it's time for today's pick. Secrecy is sometimes needed and necessary, especially if you're governing a body of a nation, state, or a community. All across the world, there are organizations dedicated to developing space programs, and the exact detail of these projects are usually well guarded. These materials are highly classified information. When this photo surfaced on the internet a few years ago, many theorized that the government had acquired an alien technology. Well, not everything we see on the internet is true. However, you can't deny the fact that there really are some secret organizations out there that are gatekeeping precious information for the safety of the public. As always, comment down below with the hashtag today's pick and let us know your opinion about what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Before we go on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds. This is known as blue fire or sulfur fire. Just as its name suggests, this phenomena occurs when sulfur burns. Because of this, the sulfur creates a lava-like flame that has an electric blue color. Now, I might have called this lava before, but don't get me wrong. Again, this is nothing but a sulfuric flame that appears like lava. Most of these fires have been seen on Indonesia's Kawah Ijen volcano, where they burn almost regularly. This location is also famous for sulfur mining. Because of this, it's also known as the Blue Volcano. Truly, this location isn't meant for any human to see. The flames might be beautiful and a sight to behold during nighttime, the only time they're visible. They might be beautiful, but it's common knowledge that volcanic gases are actually deadly. And fun fact, did you know that actual lava, the one with a red-orange color only, is about 700 to 1,250 degrees Celsius in temperature? If blue lava were truly to exist on Earth, then it would require for the lava to be at least 6,000 degrees Celsius, which is significantly hotter than any lava you can naturally find here on Earth. Number 3. Glowing water. If you think you've seen almost all the wonders of the world, then think again, because until you've seen ocean waves glowing so brightly, you still haven't seen everything the world has to offer. Glowing waves are seen in a few oceans across the world. This sight is definitely a wonder to behold. These glowing waves are caused by bioluminescence in the water from algae blooms. They usually glow when they are distributed by a huge wave breaking or a huge splash. These are only visible during the night. Nature can truly be stunning, but it can also be deadly. These algae blooms are usually tied to red tides, a phenomenon wherein the water in the ocean turns red because of the large concentration of toxins released by the blooms. Red tides can be extremely dangerous for the marine creatures around the area. Clamfishes are also inedible during red tides because they might contain toxins that can lead to food poisoning. Number 2. Fleas emerging from the sand. Let me warn you, if you have trypophobia or if you easily get squeamish, then you just might want to avoid this next entry. This short video shows a rare sight: hundreds to thousands of sea fleas emerging from the sand. These tiny creatures are actually flesh-eating tiny crustaceans. They mostly feed on dead marine animals such as fish, crabs, seabirds, and of course, the occasional whale carcass that they find. You've probably come across them while you're out on the beach before. They usually stay in the sand or in the shallow waters, and they usually leave you feeling itchy. They're pretty small, so they're hard to spot. They can range from half to 1 centimeter. These creatures aren't really venomous, and so you don't need to worry about them. However, there has been one instance where a teenager emerged from the water with his foot covered in blood. The main suspects were these tiny ocean fleas. A huge swarm of sea fleas can easily cut through human skin, especially if you're just standing still on the beach. After all, they feed on diseased flesh on the seabed. So just keep moving to make sure that these tiny carnivorous creatures won't be able to hold onto your feet and nibble on them. Number 1. Breathing forest. This video shows just how wonderful nature can be. Nature is full of life, and this video further proved that. This footage shows a breathing forest. The forest floor is rising up and down so gently that it resembles a breathing human. This video immediately went viral, and many people were astounded, while some were creeped out. Many commented that nature seemed to be heaving, caused by man's selfish and greedy activities. Deforestation and urbanization resulting in the destruction of forests and natural habitats. However, there's actually a perfectly sensible explanation behind the quote-unquote breathing phenomena, and it's actually quite simple. The trees were simply being swayed by the extremely powerful winds, and the root system of the trees underneath the ground caused the forest floor to rise up and down, causing this phenomenon. If I witnessed this phenomenon in person, I'd probably be so surprised at first. I'd probably be too stunned to speak. What can I say? The breathing motion is just too believable. Which of these entries did you find the most intriguing? Do you know of any other things in this world that you think humans were never meant to see? Let us know about your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on the screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.